Hello, everyone. I'm Lenny Blue, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar, and thank you for joining us. I'm a community engagement specialist based out of the Kansas City, Missouri area, and today I'm going to do a chat of reflections from the field. This is my experience in West Pokot, Kenya. During this, I'm going to share um, some pictures as we go along, and Heather's going to manage my Q&A and chat for us as well. So basically, this is just what I witnessed across the villages of West Pokot. This was a very powerful, it showed the power of a long-term relationship and the clear progression of transformation in communities and villages along the travels that we did there. Um, This transformation typically begins with water and then grows with sanitation, and then it blossoms into livelihoods and leadership in villages all throughout the area. Um, in each community that we visited, I saw that CWS is not just supporting development, it's nurturing hope and empowerment and a future shaped, helping the people shape their future themselves. Um, it shares how a community stage of partnership with CWS is reflected in everything from the appearance and demeanor of the people to the village organization and the overall well-being. Um, as we moved through from village to village, I describe it as like walking through different chapters of the same story. You could see the um, the difference in change of the people based on the level of the stages and level of their progression. So as you move from the first step being a secure, sustainable source of water, um, that's kind of the stepping stone. And that could be anything from uh, building a well, digging a well, or building a sand dam. And in communities that we work with, a lot of times we try to find a sand dam situation as being a, a, the best situation for them. I'm going to share a photo here in case people don't understand what a sand dam is, what it looks like. First photo I'm going to share is an established sand dam, and I'll kind of walk you through what this is. So we look for a bedrock somewhere. These are areas that get typhoon type uh, storms. So a lot of water in a very short period of time. And what we try to do is help them capture that water when they have it available and hold the water in a sustainable way. And sand um, is a great medium for that. It acts like a sponge. So when we're working with them, we try to find a place where water rushes, a wash, if you will. And if we can find a place where there's stony area, similar, you can see here the rocks on either side of the wash, and then they build this dam across those rocky areas. Then the people of the village are responsible for bringing in rock and sand to backfill that. So the water would be washing this direction, and it's capturing it behind this wall. And the sand helps to both purify the water, it helps clean the water, but it also holds the water for a sustainable amount of time. So I'm going to stop sharing here and get my next picture ready to go. So that water will sit behind that dam and is sitting there waiting for them to be able to use it. whenever they need to use it. And these are usually built a short walking distance from their village. So the women, the children don't have to walk miles and miles each day to collect water. The next photo I'm going to share is a bigger view of a dam. Hold with me 1 second. Too many buttons to click here. So you can see here the dam traps sands from floodwaters behind it. The water table is set by the rocky area in this wash area. And as the dam overflows, as the water overflows the dam area, it can trickle down into this area. But you can see the people standing there. And it holds lots and lots, millions of gallons of water behind that dam. So this is a starting place for the villages, the people that we work with. And what I'd like to show you is the first village, or one of the villages we went to was, I'm sorry, bear with me. All right. So one of the villages, we had just completed the sand dam. This is Susan standing on top of the dam with her jerry can that she used to carry miles and miles away to collect water and then bring it back to her village. When we got there, the atmosphere felt cautious. The people there were warm, but they were very reserved. They greeted us with, polite interest, but you could tell that they were concerned and uncertain about who we were or what we were doing. And again, these are people that have been working with our local organization, our local CWS staff for a number of months, but I think it was only around 4 or 5. The women only seemed to speak whenever they were prompted. Many of the children hid behind their mothers or their older siblings. You could tell their clothing maybe was worn and dusty. But the men seemed to lead the conversation, and they also were quick to make appeals for the next step of things. Kind of not sure that there's a system in place and a time for each thing. And if we go too fast, we risk not handling everything properly. So as we walked through there with them, they were wanting the latrines. They wanted to know about our livestock situation, and they were just asking a lot of questions. But it was very interesting to see that in comparison to the next story I'm going to share with you. Oh, pardon me 1 sec. I was going to pull up a photo of Susan actually behind that dam, pulling up water. Let me share this now. So you can see that she's about waist deep in a hole that she dug into the water, or into the sand. And she's pulling up some water. It seems to be a little brown and not very much of it. And I point this out because as we go to the next village that we visited, there was a clear difference in the people and the way that they reacted with us. Not only that, but how their dam had been established for many years and how that looked. Bear with me. So this photo shares a woman. She's dug about 1 foot deep into the sand, and she's pulling out large amounts of water. You can see that water is nice and clear and clean. I wouldn't say drinkable, but some of them were drinking it straight out of the sand there. And as I mentioned earlier, sand is a purification. It's a filter for the water. I wouldn't say maybe it's purified of everything, but it does clean the water up quite a bit. So as we entered this village, the women there met us with song and dance. They were excited to see us. it was a big difference from the last village the village we visited prior. Um, Not only did they have an established sand dam with clean water, but they also had moved on to sanitation and raising chickens and beekeeping. All of these are projects that we do to introduce them to not only provide for themselves with the chickens and gardening, but also to provide access to selling them to provide money for their family. Um, I don't know if you're familiar. I wasn't quite understood this whenever we went, but most of the schools there are private schools, so the families have to pay for them. They're not provided by the government. So in order for that, the families have to pay for the school to attend their children to attend the school, but also have to buy their books and their uniforms and so forth. So these are the ways that we're helping them get to the next level. So this next photo I'm going to share is, it's another example of the water that was pulled up from this established sand dam. And you can see how clean that water is. Many of you are familiar with Mary Obiro, our staff there. Those are her hands, and she's washing them, and very proud to show how clean the water was in this village. Now, I think as we traveled through these villages from one to the other to see the different programs that we do and the people that we're affecting and making an impact with, the most remarkable was when we visited the village of I know I'm not going to say this name right, Pisiro, Pisirwo. This community has partnered with CWS for more than 14 years. And here the transformation was complete enough to feel and to just, you saw the people celebrating as we arrived there. The women were dancing, the men were dancing around, singing, clapping their hands. It was quite a welcome that they welcomed us with. All of them had joyful expressions on their face, and they were just so happy for how far they had come. The women were very confident and vocal and empowered. They seemed to be equal partners in their community and in leadership in the village. Um, the village was quite organized. It seemed thriving. They had communal gardens, which I'm going to show you a photo of here. These were not in the order that I had planned them to be, but they also did demonstration gardens. So the ladies through better gardening practices that we've taught them, that they've learned through CWS presence there. This garden, whenever we were there, was not established like this. These were very small plantings, but this woman in the middle is Vivian. She is the women's leader, and she told us that they are now doing demonstration gardens for their neighboring village women. And the demonstration gardens were very unique. Like I said, when we got there, they were very small plantings, not just the ones that you saw grown up there, but also different ideas of how to plant and get more out of limited space. I don't remember the names of this type of plant or of practice of planting, but it was very interesting to show how they could get more into a smaller footprint. Let's stop sharing here. But they also shared with us in a meeting how they are now doing their communal gardens. So they're not just individual families planting and growing their own vegetables, but the community ladies are all getting together and have large properties and a large chicken coop. At the time that we were there, they had grown their flock of chickens to over 300. And the chickens, not only were they able to use the chickens and the eggs to feed their own families, but they also sold chickens to the school that their children attended. And this provided an income for them to be able to afford the school and to send their children to school and not have them walking miles and miles to collect water and working in the gardens all day, but to get an education. So they were very prideful. They were very proud that they could teach and share these techniques with the surrounding neighbor communities. But I think the moment that stayed with me the most is when Vivian was standing in front of all of us and she said, we are healthy and clean because of the training that we were given or because of the way we were trained. And I think that was very impactful because, like I said early on, you could see the transformation in the people based on the amount of time that CWS has been working with their village. And just to see the smiles and what am I trying to say? The the um, organization in the gardens in their village was very impactful. But now they're also teaching and mentors to the other communities around them. That simple statement that she made, I think, just captures the heart of what CWS strives for every day, is not just to provide resources, but to enable a lasting change that restores dignity, health, confidence, and opportunity for the people that we work with and work for. And all of this is made possible by all of you, your donations, your volunteering to hold events in your communities, crop hunger walks. And me, I am so thankful and appreciative to work with you all. Heather, that's all that I have in my presentation today. Do you have any questions or any chat coming in?
Well, I'll start with a comment that was shared from Paula. She said from a CWS video made years ago, she learned there were many benefits from a sand dam, and you mentioned them. And then years later, from a CWS staff person, she learned that in the same community, the local water table rose significantly. And so the area and the community became much more vibrant. And then, does that happen over time in other communities?
Does the sand dam happen over time?
Yeah, she wondered it because, okay, I got to go to Kenya a
Yeah,
year
yeah.
before Lenny, and we got to see the original sand dam that was in the women video from years ago. And it is, the sand has built up, it has a pump on the top, the water is as clear can be, and it's very vibrant and um, green now.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, so it affects the community. I know what you're talking about now. So yes, it does affect the community because the water under their table holding where they're able to get their water from, it spreads throughout the ground. So all these places that are impacted by wash and the typhoons that have been washed away now can regrow in those places. So yeah, exactly what you're saying. I think one thing I do want to mention that I didn't early on is, these practices take time, and I think what I was also impressed by is not just the work that we do in the villages, but our partners. So we work with local organizations that know these villages, they know the people, and they know the areas that need our help. So, and I just totally forgot the name of the partner that we drove around from village to village with, but I was talking to um, the people that work for them and how they find the women and children um, in villages surrounding the areas that need help. And again, it just comes from them being there locally. And they go and they start the conversation and see that they're open to us coming in and working with them and teaching them these practices to make an improvement and an impact for them.
They are questioning, do you know how much it costs for to create a sand dam and how long it takes to build the sand dam?
Um, I know at one point that I did know the cost, uh, and I'm trying to find this here now. We have it in some of our materials. In fact, I think like on Crop Hunger Walk page, you can find as you scroll down what it costs for a sand dam. I'm not going to throw a number out and lie, um,
And
but
how long does
but
it
we
take
can pull that
to
up.
build the sand dam?
You know, it seemed like talking with them, it was only a matter of weeks.
Hmm.
Um, I was going to say, again, because you have the whole village going to collect everything, the local organization that we partner with uh, gets involved with the government to get the permits. They do all the like land, checking out the land to make sure it will hold water and that everything's going to work properly. Again, we don't want to just build something that's going to over time cause more problems.
I can say that I believe, if I remember correctly, when I was in Kenya and we saw the original one, it was had been, I could be wrong, but it was something like 16 years, and it was finally grown up, and it was able to have the pump. So we did get an answer
From
to
Howard.
the cost from Mary Catherine,
Okay,
and it says all in with the trainings, etc., $10,000 for a sand dam.
$10,000.
And I don't know if Lenny, if you knew this, but we were also told that you can have more than one sand dam on a river. So you can have three or four sand dams on a river.
Okay, that's good. Even better to know. You know, I think the biggest thing for me in wanting to do this too is I've only been with CWS for going on 8 years. I say only, but one of the things that really impressed me with our organization is the way that we do the work. And I daily just talk to people, and everything we do is intentional and thought out to create a sustaining situation for the villages we work with. And I think that is the biggest thing that just why I'm here and why it impacts me. And I just live for waking up every Monday to go to work.
So
Yes.
could you tell where in Kenya that sand dam was? Did you tell us?
So that one, yes, I cannot pronounce. The first one that had just been built is in a village of Cachoretta, Kacchereta.
Where is
Out.
that in a, like a direction from Nairobi?
It is west of Nairobi. The county is West Pokot County.
Okay. And then the other question is, do these water holes collect wildlife and do they kill them?
No, I would have to say the way that it's built, I don't believe anything is being killed by it because again, you're building a flat surface. I think if anything, it is bringing wildlife to that area to collect to have drinking water themselves. In fact, the second one that I mentioned um, that was established and they were they were established. They had cattle the village, and the men had cattle there. And there was an area behind the dam that was like a pool that they would take their cattle over to water the cattle there. And I think that any wildlife in the area is going to find and have a watering space. So they're also creating and bringing wildlife closer to their village.
But I know when we saw the original sand dam, that one has so much water now that they are actually sharing it with the school. So these have so much water that they can share them with other villages can buy shares, and
Yeah,
it can benefit a wide area, a very
yeah,
wide area, and it benefits the schools, and of course it helps the girls go to school. Um,
exactly.
and then the last question that I really see, and you can explain this because when we go over there, how do we communicate?
How do we communicate? So we have, again, since we have staff there that are from the region, from the area, we can communicate through them. But also the local partner agencies that we work with, partner organizations, they have close connections with the villages as well. And so a whole lot of translating. Um, yeah, um, through
We learned.
translators.
Did you learn like basic like we learned like hello and thank you and my name
Yes,
is so
yes, yes.
so
So a little bit of time on what is it, Babbel or one of those
yeah.
apps to learn a little bit of Swahili. Um, yeah, it's funny because you do pick it up after a little time. I've totally lost all of it now
Oh, me too.
since
Me too.
September, but you do as you're chatting with them, you start picking up some of the quick and easy phrases.
We'll finish with this question. We keep saying that the girls get to go to school, but she's wondering, do the boys go to school?
Yes, the boys go to school as well. It's funny you bring that up because in other conversations, it's really interesting being there, and I'm sure you experience this too, Heather. When you go there, everything's a meeting.
Uh-huh.
They all want to have meetings, and they bring out chairs, and everybody circles around and gathers for a meeting. And then you have your, it's kind of like our planning team meetings for crop hunger walks. You got the
Uh-huh.
chairperson that's going to start the conversation, and then each person comes up and tells what their concerns are, their needs, and everything. And so it was very interesting sitting and being and participating in these meetings and hearing the translation going back and forth. And it's so unique. One of the schools we visited had a lot, it was about 50-50 girls and boys. And, it was a great experience. But yes, the boys go to school as well.
Well,
I think we mention girls mostly because they're the ones that are most likely to not go to
mhm,
school if someone has to sacrifice school time to be at home, to take care of other children, to take care of gathering water or raising crops. They're the ones that those duties are going to fall on. But I think the women of Africa are becoming more and more empowered, and
I
I
think
like
so
that.
too. I think so
Yeah.
too. Before we end this, could you tell us your absolute most favorite thing? I have a favorite thing. Mine was um, the jerry cans that hold the water when we were in a displaced camp, and the so it had flooded, and the way the ladies got their chickens was they came in to talk to us, and they set down these big jerry cans, and chickens poked their heads out. They sliced them open, stuck their chickens in, and got them safely to dry ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that sticks in my mind. What was your favorite?
I so many things. Honestly, when Vivian and at that established village, when she stood up and said that we're now healthy and clean because of the training that you provided. That has stuck in my heart since that day. And that keeps me, I
Mhm.
get chills and I feel like teary-eyed when that happens. But that was the first day in the field for me. And I was kind of, I don't know, I was kind of awestruck at first because again, that was a very established community where the programs we provide and were very established. So I was like, wow, man, they're doing great. But then when we went to the one that we just started working with, I'm like, oh yeah, now I see. And you can see the difference and then the progressions of in between. And those are the things that have stuck with me, I think.
Yeah, it makes me proud to work for Church World Service. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I just thought of one of the coolest things. So when we were at Vivian's village, the picture that is now on like our annual report of the lady holding up the two chickens,
Oh yeah.
Mary Catherine took that. We were standing there and she just goes out in this big pile of hundreds of chickens and just scoops them up and was like, look at these chickens. And was like, yeah, she's the chicken whisperer, man.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
if there are no further questions, we will wrap this up. And thank you so much, Lenny, for sharing your experience. And if you're like me, I'm ready to go back.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
I'd like to go somewhere else, somewhere in the Caribbean, see some more of our programs. I think they're awesome.
Yeah, I would like to do Roma.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thanks, everyone.
thank you, everybody, and have a great day. And this is recorded, and you will be sent the link probably sometime next week. So thank you, everybody, and have a great day.
Bye.